Hello! Ako po si Franco Luna, PumaPodcast. Nakikinig kayo sa Teka Teka News, balitang thinking, hindi breaking. In this episode,
It is my belief also that we have missed some great opportunities to develop our rail transport system.
we talk about the Department of Transportation's decision to begin talks with China once more for infrastructure funding, despite Beijing leaving us hanging over 3 railways.
We have 3 big-ticket railway projects, but there's still no funding for it. As I understand, initially, these projects were supposed to be funded by China Exim Bank, if I'm not mistaken. And since it did not materialize, so it did not happen, the loan applications was automatically withdrawn.
Yan si Senator Grace Poe sa plenary session ng Senado noong August 9. She was one of many lawmakers who questioned why China was ever considered for the big-ticket projects. The senator said there were many red flags right from the start. For instance, remember the Dalian trains that arrived in the country unfit for our MRT3's tracks?
I would trust partner that has delivered already, time and again. Pag may problema tayo, biglang tatakbo tayo sa Japan kasi hindi maayos ng ano. So bakit hindi na lang ganun? So it's clear as day. Diba? When it comes to competence, deliveries of what projects they had in the past, as well as the amount of interest that we're going to pay, I think the choice should have been very clear.
The kicker was that China Exim Bank was supposedly going to charge us 3% interest rate, while Japan's was as low as 0.01%. Pati si Senator Risa Hontiveros, ang nag-iisang opposition senator na pasang-ayon.
Bakit natin pinipili yung mga pautang na mas mataas ang interest rate kesa mas mababa kontrapelo sa gagawin natin sa tunay na buhay sa ating mga pamilya at tahanan?
Senator J.V. Ejercito pointed out that Japan is ready and willing to partner with us once more.
Japan through the JICA and ADB.
That's the Japan International Cooperation Agency and the Asian Development Bank.
Has been extending friendlier terms for the country. Personally, I would rather have Japan do it. First of all, it's more reliable, I would think. Most of us here would probably prefer Japanese railways and trust Japanese railways.
If JICA's name is familiar, that's because they've long been a big source of funding for the Philippines. Most recently, it was JICA that funded the MRT3 rehabilitation project during the Duterte administration. Just days after that Senate session, though, Transportation Secretary Jimmy Bautista said he and Chinese Ambassador Huang Zhilian agreed to resume negotiations on the same 3 railway projects that had to be cancelled. The Transportation Department said the two discussed restarting talks for the major China-funded projects like the North-South Commuter Railway, the Subic-Clark Railway, and the Mindanao Railway stretching from Tagum, Davao, and Digos.
Walang pondo para sa Calamba to Bicol. Kung ano yung 142 billion na pinag-usapan doon, walang pondo yan. Yung Clark to Subic, walang pondo yan. Yung Tagum, Davao, Digos, 100 kilometers, walang pondo yan.
That's Transport Undersecretary Cesar Chavez over One News. In July, he said those projects were deemed cancelled after China did not respond at all to the Duterte administration's loan application. In short, China ghosted us, leaving the government unable to even start the 3 railway projects that they themselves hyped up. Also, experts have long questioned the wisdom of prioritizing railway above all, the way Duterte did with Build, Build, Build. Listen to transport economist Robert C. He's co-convener of the Move as One Transport Coalition.
It's still one of the mainstream travel modes, and it's one way we can upgrade our mass transit, but it cannot be the only solution because most of the people using rail still have to get to the railway station, and usually that means taking some form of road-based public transport or also walking or cycling to that railway station. So we need to actually have a more balanced and a multimodal approach to our transportation planning.
The worry is that leaning on China again would only bring more uncertainty and more strings attached. Here's Cagayan de Oro 2nd District Representative Rufus Rodriguez in an interview over One News The Big Story.
There's no more rationale why we continue with China. No, there was no answer to the letters, the final letter. Before that, there were also follow-ups. And so therefore, it is clear that China failed in its promise to really finance these 3 railway projects. I really strongly feel that we already would go to other sources of funds, meaning multilateral organizations like the World Bank, the Asian Development Bank, and of course, countries where we don't have any conflict.
And that was today's episode of Teka Teka. Again, I'm Franco Luna. This episode was edited by Presh Capistrano and produced by Kat Ventura. If you like this episode, share it with a friend or two. And of course, don't forget to follow Teka Teka and PumaPodcast wherever you listen. We're excited to build our community with you, and it looks like we'll be able to meet for events real soon. So if you want to stay in the loop, please go to PumaPodcast.com and subscribe to our newsletter. Thanks for listening.